Mic'd Up with Jake and Fulton coming to you on a Victory Monday. That is right. The Kansas City Chiefs did win the game yesterday. I do think many people forget that. They did end up with the win. That and the Kansas Jayhawks smacked the Missouri Tigers.
I told you they'd win by 30.
Hit the Mizzou Sports Arena.
Told you it was going to be close. Never a doubt. Never thought it was going to be a close game. Not once.
Well, were you like me and you put down a few coins on the Jayhawks?
I did not. I should have.
Oh, I definitely did.
I have a buddy of mine who had a large financial interest on the Hawks covering.
Yeah.
He also had some financial interest on the under, and that baby stayed alive longer than it had any right to.
We got lots to get to involving the Chiefs, little KU hoops, K-State dominating the worst basketball team maybe I've ever seen. We'll get to some Big 12 news. We'll hear from Andy Reid, go around the NFL, and we got to admit something that it took 14 weeks to do, but we got to admit it. Chiefs defense stinks. Had a long process to get there, but yesterday confirmed it. The Chiefs defense stinks. We're going to get to that coming up today as well here on Mic'd Up. Jake and Fulton Caster with you. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Outside of Topeka, very simple, 785-272-9429. It's also the same as 785-272-WIBW. Let us know on Twitter at SportsOn580 and check us out on YouTube. Very easy to do. Go to youtube.com, search SportsOn580, click on the image and subscribe. You'll get all of our updates, reactions, everything with our YouTube page. Hit subscribe and like, and we'll be pumping out as much content as we can. Well, the Chiefs did win. Did you know that, Fulton?
I did. I did know that they won.
They did win. And that was one of two good things in the game. That's it. There was only two. That was it. Two. One, they won. Status quo still is the same. They won. So if the Bills lose one more game and the Chiefs went out, Chiefs are the 1 seed. All right, status quo, just objectively is the same. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. How they got there, a little bit more intricate.
Mm-hmm.
But the second thing that was good in this game, do you agree with me? The Broncos have a good defense.
Fantastic defense.
Fantastic defense. They do. At the end of the game, the Chiefs were up by 6, which is the most dangerous lead in all of NFL football. Is a 6-point lead. All right? Because team scores touchdowns, kicks the extra point. That's why, we'll get into it a little bit, Houston did the right thing. Went for the touchdown, make it a 2-score game. They didn't, okay? Having a 6-point lead is the worst thing. And the Chiefs were up by 6. But they put together a 10-play, 4-minute drive at the end of the game. That is something this Chiefs team has not done. Now, I do consider that a very positive thing. Pacheco ran hard. You made a big throw. It took 4 minutes. 4 minutes. All right? That is a positive takeaway because you just told me that the Broncos had not a good defense. What did you say? You said the F word. Fantastic defense. Maybe not the F word people were thinking about. And if you are down 6 points and you're the Broncos defense, you better be giving you have a chance to win, pull off a major upset. Epic meltdown against the Chiefs. So I do think that's a positive. I do. If we're going to talk about positives and negatives on a little bit more of a game basis instead of just standings numbers, that to me is a big positive. Pacheco running hard, all of that was good. So those are the two things that are positive for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's it. There are no other positives unless you want to say the special teams, because Tommy Townsend and his long flowing hair was a difference maker. Justin Watson catches punts. Butker made field goals. The special teams was good,
Yeah.
okay? But if you really look at the most important things, that 4-minute drive at the end of the game, when Denver knew that the Chiefs were going to be running the football, and that stingy defense gave up it. I mean, they really, really did. So I thought that was good. But, man, you want to talk about the full Chiefs experience. That was it yesterday.
It was something.
And, Fulton, this is who the Chiefs are. Like, we have to come to grips with it with the Kansas City Chiefs. There are 8 things in this game that if I told you they would occur in this game, you would have said 1,000%. 1,000%. There are 8. 8. I don't know why I looked at you with 6.
Yeah, so I don't know why you're flashing me 6 fingers
no,
there.
There are 8 things. If this were an 8-leg parlay, you would have gotten $1 if you bet 500. That's how automatic this was. This is the Chiefs, right? Your record says what you are, but then the way that you play the game. Here we go. Let's start it right now. This is so Kansas City Chiefs. You get out to an early lead, and then you check it in and coast and try to survive. Check. Did the offense turn the football over?
Oh, yeah, they did.
Check. The defense doesn't tackle.
That happened.
Check. The defense doesn't get any pressure on the quarterback, and you give up touchdown passes.
Yeah.
Check. The Broncos had 7 touchdown passes coming into today, and they had 3 of them. Andy Reid not running the ball when he should.
Check.
Check. Chris Jones making a monster play on one of the final drives.
Check.
Patrick Mahomes makes a play where you go, holy crap, that's insane. He actually made
Check twice.
He actually made 2 of them. And then the Chiefs can't score in the red zone. Congratulations, that's the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what they are. All of those, all 8 of those happen damn near every game. Now, the early lead is something that sometimes it doesn't happen, but it is a guarantee, Fulton. When the Chiefs get a big early lead, what do? I don't even know if they put it in cruise control. I think they just let the pedal off their foot off the gas, and then they just slowly drive and then stop. But that happens. No question about it. When Andy Reid gets a lead, it turns into, and this team, they turn it over. They turn the football over. Now, 2 of the 3 interceptions were really good plays by the Denver defense, which is why they might be the best or second best defense in the league, which is funny because the Chiefs moved it up and down the field pretty easily, except for turnovers. Like three turnovers. The first interception by Jewell, that was
a very good play by Josie Jewell.
I mean, he's full extension diving. Yeah. And that wasn't even the best interception. That was Surtain.
Yeah, Surtain's interception was incredibly well done.
I thought, oh, man, that totally bounced. And they showed the replay. Oh, damn, that's an interception. The last interception was awful by Mahomes. Yeah. And the reason why is they were almost in field goal range, if not they were. And at that point in time, you kick the field goal to go up 2 possessions. That was a terrible throw. He threw that into like quadruple coverage. That was not good.
It was a poor decision.
That was a poor decision. But that's what this team does. This team does turn the football over. Mahomes had a wild ride in this one. He really did.
Got the full experience.
But the full experience is normally he doesn't turn the ball over. He's much better with the football than he showed in that game, which that's the reason why they were in the game. And then the Chiefs defense just, I don't care what anybody says about the effort for the defense. The Denver Broncos scored 28. Mm-hmm. We talked about this on Friday. You can't give up 20 points to the Denver Broncos, and they gave up 28. And one of those was to Brett Rippon firing a fastball to a wide open Jerry Jeudy. We're going to talk more about this Chiefs defense coming up today because it is the problem that this Chiefs team. I mean, it's hard to win a Super Bowl, but that's the problem. It's probably why they're not going to win the Super Bowl. Okay. But the game yesterday, overall, they got the win. And they won by, you and I both said that the Broncos were going to cover the 9.5.
Yeah.
Because their defense is really good, and the Chiefs defense will probably give up a little bit more than what we should. And that defense will keep it together. The Broncos defense will keep it close. But the problem is how the game went, how it unfolded is the biggest issue. If the final score was 34-28, you would say, whoa, wow, the Chiefs offense was really good. And the Chiefs offense was really bad. But how the game unfolded made it even worse.
Yeah, the fact that this was a 27-0 game at one in the late first half. This was 27-0. The fact that it ends 34-28 is what really makes you question how some things went, because the Chiefs were outscored 28-7 from the end of the second half onwards. That is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get
to the Broncos, no less.
And we're going to get into the defense later on today. Because to me, this game, there are some questions to be asked about this defense that we have never asked, and I think people still aren't asking and pointing out the right things.
Ooh.
When it comes to this defense. We'll get to that, but it's something I realized watching the game of just like, and then hearing the takes and the commentary, I'm like, it feels like everyone's missing the point when it comes to this Chiefs defense. But they found a way to win, which is fine, but it's the same problems every single week. The Chiefs had the exact same problems this game as they did against Cincinnati, but it just showed against a bad team they can find a way to overcome it.
And that's the reason that and you hit the nail on the head. And that's the reason why this game means and is a better evaluation, because the Broncos offense, folks, is so bad.
A better offense for Denver, and they win this game. It's simple as that. Because it took them all the gifts to get to 28. This team had the exact same issues that they had against Cincinnati, which is why they lost. They only won this game because Denver's that poor, but one of my big encapsulations of when this team gets a big lead and then they face a lot of adversity, they stop remembering how to play football. Why did Isaiah Pacheco only have 13 carries?
Hey, Andy Reid.
You're up 27-0. There's no reason to be slinging rock up 27-0. There's not.
There's not reason to sling rock no matter what.
Like, why are you still just throwing the ball all over the yard up 27-0? Why?
You didn't like my joke there?
I did, and it was good, but I just went past it.
I know. From the Big O,
but truly.
Yeah, I'm with you. From the Big O Tires text line, so our defense and personnel problem, or is it a coordinator problem?
I have a very strong opinion on that we're going to get to,
also,
because that is the prevailing thing going around the fandom right now, and I don't think anyone has the right take.
Defense is absolutely horrible, and the KC line is starting to look questionable. Well, the O-line, more specifically, Orlando Brown has been questionable all year.
The interior of the line was fine. Yeah. I mean, Trey Smith killed a guy.
Multiple times, actually.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
And which one are you talking about? Are you talking about the Justin Simmons
I was there when he killed Justin Simmons.
That's not fair. Not fair at all. Going back to the text line, that's being a little harsh, Jake. I thought the Ball Boys did an incredible job.
Ball Boys did great.
Here's the deal. They had to figure out a way to win against a terrible team. But you shouldn't have to.
Especially when you're up 27-0. And Isaiah Pacheco showed at the end of the game, he is a guy you can ride to close drives because he runs in such an angry way.
I thought Dan put it so well yesterday. He said he runs like a wild horse.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
I'd actually agree with that.
I think that's if you've ever seen video of a horse just just stomping on the ground,
that's Pacheco.
That's Pacheco. That's what he does.
There was ever a game, Pacheco should have had like 24 carries. It's this game.
Yeah.
Because he still averaged over 5 yards a carry against a very good defense with only 13 touches.
Yeah.
Like that to me is the encapsulation of Andy Reid and the Chiefs don't know how to play with a big lead.
No.
They don't know how, because we talk about how you don't want to fully take your foot off the gas, and you shouldn't. But you need to shorten the game a little bit at that point. You're 27-0. There is no reason not to heavily run the football when it's working.
Yeah.
And it was. But yet again, they get a big lead, they face 2 moments of adversity, and the entire team collapses.
And going forward in the playoffs, because the whole point of the regular season is a means to an end.
Yes.
Get to the spot you need to, but right now, I don't see the Chiefs getting up to a big lead anymore in the playoffs, whoever they face. I don't see that happening. But it comes down to the other stuff on offense, which is Orlando Brown protecting better, Andy Reid not shying away from the run game when it works, and then the entire defense. Coming up, though, not going to lie to you, a lot of bad stuff happened over the weekend. The weekend takeaways and fails might lean a little bit more on the fails aspect of it. We'll get to that, and we'll go around the NFL coming up at the bottom of the hour. We got a lot to get to here on Mic'd Up. Alrighty, Fulton, what do you got for your weekend's takeaways and fails?
The Missouri basketball team is a bunch of failures who can't play defense.
That's facts.
Which I can couple to a takeaway, which is the Kansas Jayhawks once again murdered Missouri.
My takeaways, there's a lot of them. First of all, condolences go out to Grant Wall and his family. Grant Wall is another reason why soccer is where it's at. He died covering the World Cup, and he that was a stunner. Like, he's 48 years old. He was really good. If there's an individual guy that's not an athlete to help grow soccer in America, it's Grant Wall. If you follow any soccer, you follow Grant Wall.
Yep,
you do. And a lot of things happened just here overnight. Mike Leach had apparently a major heart attack and is also had maybe some seizures last night. He is in the hospital right now. The head coach, we know Mike Leach from obviously Texas Tech and everything. But everyone's saying that he needs a miracle, which that's so sad. Chris Beard is in jail right now under police custody, the head coach of the Texas Longhorns on the basketball side of things. Late last night at about 2 a.m, he got arrested. And the reason for arresting is for a domestic violence issue where allegedly, there was he strangled somebody. Don't know any details as of right now, but they play tonight at 8:00.
I have to imagine Chris Beard will not be on the bench for the Texas Longhorns this evening.
But this is a third-degree felony.
Yeah, this is something, if convicted, if this all comes around and he gets convicted through the legal process, that's 2 to 10 years in prison.
Yeah. So
it's still allegedly still stuff coming out, but on Chris Beard, it's if it comes out that that's what happened and the evidence shows that this is what Chris Beard did, it ain't small.
Like, this is a monster situation. Apparently, the latest news on this is that Chris Beard wants the charges dropped. Obviously,
big shot.
But he was arrested for assault on a family member or a family household member. That's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So goodness, that's all of that is in the last basically 24 hours. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I do know this, that according to the wordage in Chris Beard's contract, if he is charged with the third-degree felony, then the Texas Longhorns can fire him for cause, and they won't owe him a dime. That is huge. Coming up next, we're going to go around the NFL. It's time to go around the NFL. This was one of the most entertaining weeks and weekends in the NFL. It really, really was.
No.
Give me the game that you think had the biggest impact, or it ended up being a huge takeaway, whether the league, playoffs, the game, just in general. What do you got?
For me, I think it can be a pretty simple one. The Bills beating the Jets is important. One, because it allows the Bills to stay up in the race for the one seed. Every win they get keeps them up on that. Also, the Jets are trying to still fight for their playoff lives, trying to get into the playoffs. A loss does not help them a little bit. Plus, Mike White got hurt, then came back, then got hurt again, then came back, and he should be okay. But Robert Saleh said as much, he's hoping to have Mike White this week. They're planning on as if they're having Mike White at quarterback, but there's no guarantee. So, the Jets and Bills was a good game. It was a competitive game between both sides, which is something you love to see. And then it has the right type of impact for both teams to where, the win really helps the Bills. The loss does not help the Jets at all. And plus, for Buffalo, they're on a stretch where they're facing a bunch of really good teams and then the Bears. So every win they can get is even more crucial.
The Jets defense is still really good.
That Jets defense is good defense. Nasty.
Yeah, that's a good defense. Bills scored 20. And the Jets just don't have enough on offense. And I think the Bills without Von Miller, that is going to play a factor when they face a good offensive team. The game that I will be fascinated by is Bengals-Bills.
Yeah.
That's going to be a huge one, and here's the reason why. You ready for this? It's not this week. I believe it's in 2 weeks. But if the Bengals win, that's the dream situation for the Kansas City Chiefs. Here's the reason why. Bengals beat the Bills. There is a very good chance that the Bengals at that time will have overtaken the lead in the division.
Yeah.
And then that means the Bills will be the 2 seed, Bengals will be the 3 seed, and you don't have to see them. That is why that's so big.
Yeah.
Because the Ravens and the Bengals are tied right now at 9-4, and I think the Bengals are the better team. So that's why it is so big. And in fact, the Bills might be the 3 seed if the Bengals beat them. Because right now, that is how big that game is going to be.
Because their records would probably be identical.
Yeah. Now they don't play for a while. The Bengals still have to play the Bucs and the Patriots, so they've got some time.
Yeah, we got a couple weeks. That's a Monday Night Football game.
That's a big one.
The day after New Year's.
That would be huge. My The biggest game to me, the Eagles thrashing folks. The Eagles right now, they are the team to beat. They are the team to beat. And right now, Jalen Hurts just overtook Patrick Mahomes for the odds-on favorite to win the MVP. The Eagles defense is terrific. They have a fantastic secondary, a good D-line, and on offense, Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball better than anyone ever thought. Having Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, a ballin' offensive line, and Miles Sanders, they torched the Giants after torching the Titans. They are the best team in the NFL right now. That was an impressive performance, clobbering two potential playoff teams here in the last 2 weeks. I thought that the best teams were in the AFC, and I actually think that 3 of the top 4 are in the AFC with the Chiefs, Bills, and Bengals right now because how well the Bengals are playing. It's the Eagles, and then there is a gap, and there's a big gap to me, especially what has occurred. Now, the second most important take with the Bengals, having A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, they are the 2 best wide receiving combo. Some people will say, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Devonta Smith is the second most underrated wide receiver in the league behind Tyler Lockett. And then A.J. Brown is fantastic.
Yeah.
They're doing it with, and they got a quarterback who can run. Man, the Eagles are good. They are really, really good. The second biggest game to me over the weekend is San Francisco clobbered Tampa Bay with Brock Purdy back there.
Yeah, that's the more important part. They had Brock Purdy back there and dropped a 35 piece.
Now, it did not look good for Deebo Samuel, but it's going to be a high ankle sprain. So I'm going to say he's going to be out 4 weeks. 4 weeks, and then the next week they're going to be playing in the playoffs. And depending upon the Vikings, the 49ers will be probably the 2 or 3 seed. We know that. And the way the Vikings are playing right now, you got to think probably the 2 seed. But San Francisco, I don't know how Brock Purdy's going to be the rest of the year. And I don't know when Deebo might be out for 6 weeks. He might be out for a playoff game. I don't know.
We don't know.
But 4 weeks, I mean, you're looking at the start of the playoffs. So that's why I wonder about the 49ers. But they're going to end up winning the division because they got a 2-game lead right now over Seattle.
And plus they get Seattle on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Which means you get a win over Seattle there. You all but lock up the division.
Yeah. I mean, they're 4-0 in the division right now. They beat Seattle earlier this year, so they pretty much do lock up the division. You'd be up 3 with 3 games to go, essentially. Yeah. So I thought that was a huge win. The 49er defenses, the 2 best defenses in the NFL right now are the 49ers and the Broncos. And I do believe that. So that's my second biggest game over the weekend. One, because what the 49ers had to overcome, and the injury to Deebo Samuel. Injuries just destroying the 49ers. Oh, man. I'm glad Deebo's not out, because if Deebo was done for the year, you need Deebo in the playoffs. I'm sorry, but Kittle and Brandon Ayuk ain't going to get it done. Ain't going to get it done. Deebo Samuel is a game changer. That Deebo Samuel is pretty much like a Travis Kelce. He's a huge weapon. And by the way, Jerry Rice is furious at the 49ers for running Deebo Samuel up the middle. And he's like, why are we running our best player up the damn middle? This is stupid. Jerry Rice heated at his 49er team. That was my second biggest game. What do you got for your second?
It was the game that finished up last night between Chargers and Dolphins. Chargers kept their playoff hopes alive.
Oh,
They are slim. They are slim and gasping playoff hopes. But the Chargers are the 7th seed in the playoffs right now. They're hanging on. Mm-hmm. They're technically tied with. They win the tiebreaker on the Jets because of conference game winning percentage. But they're right there with the Jets for that 7th seed by winning that game. They're only a game back of Miami for the 6th seed now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, LA isn't going to win the AFC West. It just mathematically, it's not going to occur. It would take a lot of help from Kansas City for the Chargers to try and win the division, which means they need a wild card spot, which means they need wins when they can get them. And being able to beat a good Miami team was a very good sign for LA. Like, if they want to sneak into these playoffs and they want to find their way to get in there.
And they should. The Chargers should make the playoffs because they're in the playoffs right now.
And their 4 games they have left
are bad teams.
They have the Titans at home. They go to the Colts. Home against the Rams. Go to the Broncos.
They will lose one of those games because they are the Chargers.
Correct. But they shouldn't lose one of those games, but they probably will.
And the Chargers are the team. They are the enigma of the NFL. They have a ton of talent, a ton of top tier talent. But when they're healthy, if you've got Mike Williams, you've got Keenan Allen, you've got Austin Eckler. Those are 3 excellent players. And that is why their offense will give you a chance. Their defense is up and down. They don't. The Dolphins also, the last 2 weeks, the Miami Dolphins have been figured out.
Yep.
The Miami Dolphins have got beat by the Brock Purdy-led 49ers 33-17, and then lost to the Chargers 23-17. And let's be honest, should have been 23-10, but the wildest touchdown that has happened in the NFL this year happened in the game. Fumble by the Dolphins. It got bounced around. I don't know if someone just flipped it between their legs to somebody or how the hell that happened, but there's a big giant scrum. Tyreek Hill is standing behind it, and all of a sudden, the ball, it looks like it's in a sea of people, just comes flipping out to Tyreek Hill, who catches it, and then runs for 80 yards for the touchdown. That was 7 of their 17 points. But the Chargers and the 49ers put it on tape. Press man all of these receivers because Tyreek Hill's not a big guy. Just have somebody over the top of him.
Yep.
And he still ended up going for a ridiculous amount of yards. But Jalen Waddle, press Jalen Waddle, and he ain't going to do jack squat. And so a little bit of the game plan to stop the Dolphins, plus their defense is not good. The Dolphins now, over the course of the year, starting to show a little bit some of the weaknesses. So
the Dolphins, I will say this too about the Dolphins, that to me is the sign of an offense that is not necessarily, like, I don't want to use the word struggling, but truly has kind of been figured out here. The Dolphins have 4 touchdowns the past 2 weeks. 3 of them are offensive. Do you want to know what the shortest offensive touchdown they have the past 2 weeks is?
23 yards.
Longer.
84.
Not that long. 45.
Well, you told me longer, so I went,
You went really far. 45 yards. They had a 45-yard touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill against the Niners. That's their shortest touchdown the past 2 weeks.
That's wild.
Which that shows you what they can do. But also, it shows another flaw they have right now. They can't move the ball consistently.
Yeah, they can't drive it.
They can't drive it, which is, honestly, I think one way you beat the Dolphins is press man them, because these receivers, you kind of get physical with them. You can get them.
Mm-hmm.
The other thought I have is this. Play them like you play the Chiefs did. Put a 2 shell on it.
Yeah.
Play back in a day and say, Tua, go drive. Because look at all of their scores.
Yeah.
They're home runs.
Mike McDaniel, Mr. Offensive Wizard. Buddy, you better
figure it out.
You better make an adjustment.
Their run game isn't working as well as it did earlier in the season, because that's been figured out. Jeff Wilson got hurt in the last game. You don't know what he's going to do going forward.
Yep.
Raheem Mostert's been figured out. He can't run the ball effectively. And then they are just not going consistently down the field. They're only scoring on home runs.
Here's the thing. This is a worst case scenario. You ready? Chiefs get the 2 seed and the 7 seeds the Chargers. That could be a very real possibility.
That's a stressful game.
But I think the Chargers might end up with the 6 seed.
They could.
And that's what you want if you are the Kansas City Chiefs. Because then the Chargers can, I think, beat almost anyone, but they can lose by 20 to anyone. Like, that's why I call them the biggest enigma in the biggest, Pandora's box. You don't know what you're going to get with this Charger team. But they got some dudes. They really, really do. Some other things happening over the weekend. Detroit's offense is fun. And
Detroit's so fun to watch play football.
I said Tyler Lockett, Devontae Smith, and then I would add Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
As I say it right.
I think it's Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra, whatever. He's really damn good, Ra. How about that? Detroit, if they had any defense, and the Vikings are going to be the 2 seed unless they completely tank it, which the Vikings very well could.
Don't look now. The Lions are 6-7 and are currently a game and a half, we'll call it that, out of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
The Lions started 1-6.
Yeah. But the Vikings schedule the rest of the way is not all that difficult. The Giants, the Colts, the Packers, the Bears. But the way the Vikings have been playing, I mean, the Vikings they have a negative point differential despite winning 10 games.
Yeah, because they win all close games, and they had that one game where the Cowboys murdered them.
So the Vikings and Justin Jefferson. Here's your offensive player of the year. Justin Jefferson or Tyreek Hill, because Justin Jefferson is he's incredible. He really, really is. Tennessee loses. Tennessee and Tampa are probably going to win their division, but man, Tennessee stinks. And then finally, the Carolina Panthers. They are a win away and a Bucs win away, or a Bucs loss from having the same record.
Yeah.
Carolina is 6-8. The Bucs are 6-7.
Yeah.
And the Bucs are in just who the hell knows. And you ready? Here's the Bucs next game. The Bengals. And then you play the Cardinals, and then you get the Panthers.
Yeah.
This is what's wild, is that the Panthers might end up winning that division.
They could.
They beat Seattle.
Yep.
Seattle has no defense. And they're scheduled. The Panthers go Steelers, Lions, Bucs, Saints. I can't believe this, but I mean, and Sam Darnold didn't even have a good game.
No, they just ran the football.
Like, that's what's crazy about that. They fired Matt Rule and then have since been, good.
The NFL makes no sense. That's all that matters.
That's insane.
Well, it also helps the Panthers as they play in the worst division.
Yeah, well, still, they've had so much.
That division
they've had so much go on this year.
Yeah, and they're technically in the hunt.
I still would lean towards the Bucs, but man, they look so bad.
They let Brock Purdy put up 35 points. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant.
No, he's definitely relevant now.
Mm-hmm.
From the Big O Tires text line, Dolphins Chargers was the biggest game as well. Also, the Dolphins were monumentally screwed by a horrible roughing the passer call. I did not see that.
They're cool. That's one call in an entire game.
But also, let's see here. Something tells me that the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl again. Well, going to be in the Super Bowl again. They look very good.
They got a chance.
They look very good. Here's hoping that Deshaun Watson turns into Russell Wilson, because he has not looked good the last 2 years. You want to talk about rust?
Oh,
that is
funny.
Deshaun Watson, remember, did not play at all last year, and then finally played was it 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
And this last week.
Yep.
And he has not looked good.
Man, that sucks, Cleveland. couldn't have happened to a better franchise.
You know?
I'm just, man, I am so sad that Cleveland's $250 million guaranteed man has played like doo-doo for 2 weeks. I'm just so bummed about that. Man, my tears are flowing over what's happening in Cleveland. Oh, man.
No, that's been good. 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown
stinks.
against the Texans, and then Cincy. Yeah, Cincy's peaking at the right time. They really, really are.
Their defense is starting to figure some things out and figuring how they want to play. The offensive line for Cincinnati is gelling from all the work that they did to overhaul in the offseason. And then Jamar Chase is healthy, and Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Coming up next, we'll finish this hour off with our Survivor pool. Had an interesting weekend. We'll get to that next. Alrighty, the Survivor pool is, well, it's at an interesting situation. I said that either this week or next week, the pool will end. Well, I picked the Seahawks. They lost. Thanks a lot, Gino. Pete. Dan picked the Tennessee Titans. And they decided to play like ants instead of Titans. They lost. So we both lost at the same time. And honestly, they were both 3:00 windows.
Yep.
Right?
I couldn't tell you.
I know the Seahawks played at 3.
Actually, I think Titans and Jags was the early window. I think if we're going to go on the technicality of technicalities.
I never thought of that till just now, Fulton.
The Titans did lose first.
So Dan was eliminated. I'm going to have to bring this up.
We're going to have to talk to Dan during the break here.
Yeah.
But I think technically,
I was the one.
if we're going to go by those rulings.
I don't know. We'll have to talk. So we both, but here's the thing. Let's say you just go by the week, right? The week, correct?
Yeah.
Like what is it a tie? Do we keep going?
Let's just call it a draw. No survivor pool should make it this long.
But you have said ties are stupid.
I have. I am a noted anti-tie guy.
So what? Here, text line. What should we do? Keep going because we've got a tie? I'm the winner because
the Titans lost first?
Titans lost first. Give us some directions so we know what to do. Because, we've kind of just been going, well, what do we do in this situation? I have no idea. Like, technically, a survivor pool is somebody's got to win. You can't have a tie in a survivor pool, can you?
I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm the guy that was eliminated in week 5.
So hit us up. What should we do? Do I win or do we keep going? 785-272-9429. Coming up next, we'll talk a little Big 12 and KU stomping Missouri. Mic'd up. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake and Fulton Caster with you. We got Everyone Loves the List Christmas decorations. But we're going to go with the kind of the creepy ones.
Jake and I disagree about what is the proper impetus for this list. We now have a Santa up in our lobby.
It's a
one of the coworkers
Santa.
Here was delighted enough to set us up like a 5 foot tall, like Santa's as tall as me.
It might be like damn near 6.
It might be damn near 6. I did not get close enough to really adjust the height. Because it's creepy. It's got a weird face.
No,
it apparently dances.
It's not creepy.
It's creepy to me.
It's not. Here's what we're gonna do. During one of the commercial breaks, we're gonna go and take a photo of it, put it up on our social media account, and we'll just simply put,
what's your thoughts on this Santa?
Regular Santa, creepy Santa. Okay, it's got, you push a button at the bottom and it sings songs. It's a good Santa.
So apparently it has a motion activated mode, and when they were trying to get it set up, the idea was to set it up so that when people walk past it,
you'd
in
be
our
scared.
lobby,
You would be surprised, not scared.
You'd be scared.
It would, be like, oh, and then you would jump.
All I know is I walked in the door to the station today, saw that, and was like, "That's a weird looking Santa."
I don't think so, but we'll figure it out. We'll let our listeners,
the people decide.
And the people decide. Speaking of which,
democracy.
The people are deciding that we got to keep this thing going for our survivor pool. We got from the 785, keep going. From the 620, keep going. Somebody did say spitballs at 10 paces. From the 402, keep going. So judging for, I was hoping y'all would back me up and say, "Nah, Jake, you're the winner. You were left standing." So we might have to keep it going. Also, you cannot say, Jake, let's just call it a tie when you hate ties so much.
I do dislike ties.
I will never let you live that down.
I dislike ties, but you know what? Sometimes when the thing doesn't matter.
No, you have been on a soapbox. I don't know how many times, Fulton, saying ties are terrible. You can't all of a sudden now be
ties are only okay in standings where the decisions are points based. It's why ties in soccer are fine because they have a built-in system to account for it. You each get a point. And the win, though, still better.
So, but in this situation, you have to have a winner.
Yes, no, I'm also fine with you two keeping going because there needs to be a winner. There should be a winner.
From the 785, don't be silly, Jake. We don't want you to win. Come on, man.
These people get it. The people understand.
No, there's a prize if we win this. And I'd share it
When
with
has
you.
there ever been a prize for this survivor pool?
That means I win the survivor pool, therefore our show wins the survivor pool, therefore we are superior. So you should want me to win.
I have been rooting for you this whole time.
I know, and I appreciate that.
Like, I have been in your corner. It's why I did point out the Titans lost first.
I know. I'm going to bring that up.
They lost first.
They did lose first. If we're talking about Survivor, hey, maybe it's important to pick the 3 o'clock game.
It's important to pick the 3 o'clock window.
Exactly. So hit us up on our Big O Tires text line. Check us out on Twitter as well as our YouTube page. Go to youtube.com/@sportson580. Hit the subscribe button. Love to get your thoughts. You can mention it in the comment section as well. So we got our list coming up, which is, the kind of the creepy Christmas holiday.
We all have that grandma that put up some weird stuff that, especially at night. Because almost all my things are things my childhood I had in my home that my grandma would put up. And like I'd walk around the house at 11 o'clock. It's all dark and I'm seeing some weird stuff around. I'm like, man, well, this is going to come to life and it's going to get me.
Yeah. We'll hear from Andy Reid coming up at the bottom of the hour. But right now, the Kansas Jayhawks destroyed the Missouri Tigers.
They beat Missouri so bad, they had to drop Kansas in the rankings.
Yeah, that should just go to show you folks that rankings
are pointless.
Really don't matter.
No, actually, no. You know what the thing is that
especially
shows
in
that
college basketball. In football, they do matter because where you start's important.
Yes.
Because we go by the, college football playoffs, so rankings do matter. But college basketball rankings don't mean squat. Absolutely not. They don't mean anything. And especially non-conference rankings. But KU hammered Missouri to the tune of Missouri. There was a reason why Missouri was giving up 80-some points a game. Because they play no defense. I mean, no defense. At one point in time, KU was 10 of 12 from the field. It's 83%. Perfect from deep, 3 of 3. And then perfect from the foul line, 3 for 3. Think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, Missouri, they stunk.
Yeah, they did.
They stink.
It was awesome.
And there's a few things to take away from the Missouri and KU game. Number one, no question about it. I hope people take advantage of the Grady Dick euphemisms and the fun that Grady Dick's name is bringing to the University of Kansas and the KU fans. I hope people get the mileage out of it, that they are able to use, because folks, Grady Dick ain't coming back next year. When you're 6'8" and you can shoot the 3 and finish at the rim, you don't return to college basketball.
No,
you don't.
No, you don't.
You don't. Grady Dick didn't have a great second half. He ended up with 16, but Grady Dick to start the game was the reason why the Jayhawks jumped out to a 15-point lead in the first 5 minutes, because he had 12 points in the first 5 minutes. and it was all she wrote after that. But he's at 6'8". He is a perfect 3-and-D type of guy. The problem is he doesn't play a whole lot of defense right now, but I think that'll get better since he is just 18 years old. But offensively, that man's catch and shoot game is pretty impressive. So KU fans, he's not coming back. And if he is, then the only hope there is that he tries to improve his defense so then he becomes, a lottery pick. I don't know if he's a lottery pick right now.
He's borderline going to get a chance to be a lottery pick because his shooting is so good at his size.
At his size, yes. So enjoy the Grady Dick back and forths and the shirts and the sayings, because there's a ton of funny ones out there. So I hope people do get what they hope out of them. Secondly, if KJ Adams scores 19 a game, not even 19. If KJ Adams scores 10 in the game, I do not see how the Jayhawks will lose that basketball game. I don't. That is 10 points from a guy who really doesn't score a whole lot, and I'm not counting games against, like Texas Southern or those. But if you look at the games against good teams, Missouri, not a good team. Seton Hall, not a good team. Texas Southern, not a good team. Let's look at games in which you're playing legitimate competition. Tennessee, he had 4. Wisconsin, he had 6. Duke, he had 8. If KJ Adams scores 10 points a game in the Big 12, the Jayhawks will win every one of those games. That's a free 10 points. Free 10 points. So the score is 60 to Jayhawks lose 62 to 60. KJ Adams has 2 points. But if he has 10, you're going to win that game. I'm telling you, KJ Adams just needs to find a way to get an offensive rebound and a putback, a couple drives down the lane by either DeJuan Harris or, Jalen Wilson, dump off, lay it up and in, maybe get a transition bucket here or there. But if KJ Adams is scoring 10 points, let alone 19, 1, that team should be embarrassed, and 2, the Jayhawks are going to be unstoppable if he's in double figures. Because that is a guy who cannot score on his own.
No, not really.
His scoring on his own is hustle for an offensive board, or, somebody has to do it to get him open.
Yeah. KJ ain't taking the ball in the low block and working in the post.
No. But that was the perfect game for the entire KU team because, everybody just throttled everybody. And then DeJuan Harris does what he does. 6 points, 9 assists, plays great defense. Everybody else double figures. And Missouri looked awful, to be honest with you. Missouri is going to get torched if that's the defense they're going to play in the SEC. They're going to get torched.
It was really funny to watch.
No, it was terrible. It was a terrible game.
Oh, it's so funny. I enjoyed every minute.
I know you did, but I'm going to tell you the only reason I enjoyed it is because I had money on it.
I watched all 40 minutes of that game, and I had a big smile on my face for 40 minutes.
That was Missouri. You gave up 95.
Yeah.
Laughable.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to get to is, and we talk about this a lot, know the situation. Know what's going on. I love trash talk. I do. I even thought it was hilarious that the Broncos celebrated an interception down 27-0. That ain't the move, fam. I get the Broncos defense is awesome, but when you're 3-9, or what are they now, 3-10? If you're 3-10, you can't do a whole lot of celebrating. I'm sorry. You can't do it. I don't care how good your defense is, but you're also down 27. Eli Drinkwitz is perfect for this KU-MU rivalry because he's embracing being a heel. There's no other way that you can do this when you have a losing record at your school. I'm sorry, but if you have more losses than wins, you can't say anything. Anything. I know he didn't bring the sign to the arena, but he saw the sign and wanted to hold it up. And it says 5 level 1 violations. You know who can do that? Coach Cal. You know who can do that? Rick Barnes. You know who else can do that? Anyone who's got a legit team. You know who can do that? Chris Kleiman. You know who else can do that? Dave Aranda. Somebody else who wants to throw shade at the opponent. You know, it'd be like Steve Sarkisian holding up a sign making fun of A&M. Steve, you can't do that. Your teams are not good enough. All right? Eli Drinkwitz, you have more losses than you do wins at Missouri. You're essentially Vanderbilt. You cannot talk crap. That is, and I have, this is a hill that I will die on. I will die on a lot of hills.
Yeah.
This is one of them. The other one is regular overtime back in the day should still be the overtime rule. That's a good one. We're going to go off the sports world. I'm never too good for free.
Jake has enforced that. Has very much tried to teach me the value of no one's too good for free.
No one is too good for free. There are very few people who are too good for free. Even then, you know, I go back. One of my buddies, they were giving out Wendy's Frosties for free. He's like, here's a Wendy's Frosty. Free. And my buddy goes, nah, I'm good. I wanted to smack him. Wait, you're too good to grab a Wendy's Frosty? You're never going to go to Wendy's ever again? Liar. Never too good for free. Ever. I don't make enough money to be too good for free, but it's the principle. It's free. Free 99. You can't do this if you're Eli Drinkwitz. You look like a putz. You really, really do.
Because he is.
You can't do that. But it is good for the rivalry because KU fans hate that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Hate that guy. And MU fans like him because he's back in his school, right? Hey, he's making fun of the rival. They love him. Caveat to this is they will love you if you win. If you lose, they will turn on you in a heartbeat.
Yeah, they will.
Because then KU fans can look at it and go, oh yeah, wow, look at your head coach. Look at him talk smack. He can't win. So I'm not an Eli Drinkwitz fan because he's more bark and less bite, if you will. I mean, Lance Leipold, he's just. I saw a poll that said the least amount of swag in college coaches, and Leipold didn't even make the top 20. If there's a coach in college football who has absolutely no swag, it is Lance Leipold. And I mean that kind of as a compliment because he is mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
All right.
Lance is a blue-collar down to earth guy.
Lance, like if there are polar opposites of coaches, it's Lane Kiffin and Lance Leipold.
Yeah.
I don't remember who was number 1, but Lance should have been number 1. Okay. But that's what I concluded after watching the game. I watched it yesterday because I saved it. I didn't watch the whole entire game. Why would I do that? I watched the first half.
It was a good time.
And Missouri, you suck. You're terrible. Coming up next, everyone loves the list. Are we going to label it creepy? Or how do you want to label this list? Because you came up with this.
I label it creepy, but also just accept bad, just things you don't like.
Things you don't like Christmas decoration wise.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm willing to just go a little bit that broad. The majority of mine are because they're creepy, but just maybe decorations you don't like.
Christmas decorations you don't like. We'll get to that next. Everyone loves the list. We're going to go with off-putting, don't like Christmas holiday decorations. All right.
These are just personal opinions.
Yep. Personal
It's just
opinions.
our thoughts. Number 4 for me is possibly one of our controversial Christmas decoration takes. I'm not a wreath guy.
What? Not a wreath guy. Figured,
Like,
who has a stance on wreaths?
they're just They're just
I did not think wreaths would make this list. Anyways, number 4 for me. Any type of like movie ornament, like the ones that you see a lot, like the Yoda Christmas ornaments, like the Yoda stuff. Man, don't put Yoda in a Christmas hat, or like Darth in a Christmas hat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
feel that.
I'm not a Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not even I'm pretty anti like sci-fi kind of stuff.
It's okay to be wrong.
Like, I like Marvel, but even putting like Hulk with a Christmas ornament, like a Christmas hat on. Come on,
That's fair.
No, not me.
Number 3 for me, I'm not a fan of gigantically large yard inflatables, because I feel like they just take up a lot of space, and they're just, from personal experience, a massive problem to maintain.
Yeah. I like looking at them. Some of them are okay. Some of them are all right. Number 3 for me, the horror ornaments.
Okay.
They're called horror ornaments or whatever. It's like horror ornaments where, you know, you got like skulls and stuff.
Yeah, no,
that's weird.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's weird.
That's fair.
I don't like that.
That's fair.
You know?
That's fair. Number 2 for me, smaller, like doll-sized, realistic-looking Mrs. Claus and Santas. I don't like realistic doll-looking things. Don't also make them light up and move. Yeah. Don't do that.
Number 2 for me, this is so old and drawn out. All right. The oversized stocking. You know, where you got a stocking, and then someone thinks they're super funny and makes it like 8 feet long. And it's like, look at me. I've been really, really good.
That's fair.
Not fam. That ain't it.
Number 1 for me is a very simple one. I don't like human-sized animatronics. They freak me out.
Number 1 for me, ornaments or anything decoration-wise that sings and plays music nonstop.
Fair.
No. No. We got one for my son. I told my wife we got to turn that down. Hit us up with your decorations you don't like. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Andy Reid. Back in on Mic'd Up. Jake LeBon, Fulton Caster with you. We put out video of the inspiration for today's list. It is I want to go 5, almost 6 foot tall Santa.
Yeah, with the base, it's probably 6 foot.
Well, the base is only like an inch tall.
Okay.
It's a good size Santa.
It's a good size Santa.
And
breaks my rule of giant life-sized animatronics.
and it sings. You push a button and it sings. It can be motion censored as well. If you want to look at it, you can check out our Twitter page, Sports on 580. Very simple, Sports on 580. And I took a video of it. It's singing a song. I'm trying to remember what song it was singing while I was videoing it. I think it was Here Comes Santa Claus, maybe.
Probably. Right down Santa Claus Lane.
I don't think it's creepy. I actually think this is we like very differ on this. I think it's a well done Santa. Because it moves, it dances. I think it's pretty good. But to each their own.
Life-sized animatronics just freak me out.
I'm going to ask Dan and Brendan when I see them next.
I bet they'll be on my side.
You think?
I don't know. Again, I admit that this all comes back to just I don't like life-sized animatronics. Those things are... Listen, there are too many very well-done horror movies and other pieces of horror media that tell you life-sized animatronics come to life and they get you.
Okay, iRobot.
Just saying.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say Dan is on board. Brendan is not. Brendan's not a real holiday type of guy. So I'm going to say Dan, yes. I'm going to say Brendan, no. That's what I'm going to go with.
I can believe that.
That's what I'm going to go with. There's some news from the Beard situation. Chris Beard has now met with the magistrate, and he has says here he's still yet to be released from custody. His bail is set at $10,000. But they did do an update. They got Beard's mugshot and all of that. The first call came in at 12:15. Beard was booked at 4:18. This is the little synopsis. At 12:15, the police received a 911 for a disturbance in the Vista Lane block. That a caller reported that the disturbance was no longer ongoing and one of the individuals had left the house. Police officers responded and located a woman who stated she had been assaulted and strangled by Christopher Michael Beard, head coach of Texas. Beard was booked, charged with a third-degree felony. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Austin Police Department. Feels like this is going to be a he said, she said situation. Unless there were other witnesses. It's a little update for you on what's going on with Chris Beard. That's a real bad situation going on. Real bad.
It's not good.
No, it's real bad. It's real bad. Let's hear from head coach Andy Reid. Andy Reid spoke to the media today on this Monday. Gives the standard injury of, well, I don't know what's going on. The guys are just coming in. So here's what Andy Reid had to say to the media.
So, again, don't have any injuries for you. Guys are coming out. I'm not sure I haven't heard of anything since last night. So we really kind of came out of it fairly clean last night, I think. But we'll see. We'll see today. Anyways, with that, I thought the guys came ready to play. They were, we got up by 27 points, and then, we had a couple of the interceptions take place and allowed them to get back in it. We got to do a better job with those. We've got to do a better job transitioning after those on the defensive side, not letting them score. We'll go back and work on that. Again, the important thing is that we won the game and and played for the 4 quarters and came out on top. So that inevitably is what's important here. With that, time's yours.
And you talked a little bit after the game last night about Travis Kelce and what he's accomplished, the milestones, and just wanted to ask you was there a point after you got him that you said to yourself, okay, he's going to have this kind of health willing, he's going to have this kind of career, he's going to be capable of accomplishing these kinds of things that he has? And Brad, I'll have a second question as well.
Yeah, you know what, Adam? I thought he was really spectacular in college. I had a chance to see him firsthand because of he played. I just want to let you know that's Ted. That's you guys. I had a chance to watch him in college when he was playing against Temple, where my son played. So, and then his brother, obviously, I had him and drafted him at Philly. But so I thought watching him at Cincinnati, I go, this kid has a chance to be really something special. Anyways, that's and I know Dorsey agreed with that.
Okay. And wanted to ask you about a couple decisions you made last night. Just curious your thinking. The first one was when you accepted the Denver holding penalty on their last touchdown drive. You made it 2nd and 34 instead of 3rd and 24. That one there, and also the decision to kick rather than go for 2 after your last touchdown. You went up 30. It was 33-21, and then the kick made it 34-21.
Yeah, I think the first one might have been field position on that. I'm not sure exactly, just recalling it, but field position was one of the thoughts. And then what was the second question on that, Adam?
The decision to kick for the extra point rather than go for 2 on your last touchdown.
Yeah.
The one late in the third quarter.
Yeah, had we gone and scored another one, I probably would have gone for 2. But there, I didn't think I needed to. But
Coach, you got kind of a nice rhythm going with your running backs. Isaiah, and I know you've said he can catch, and that's the receiving part of the game is maybe something that he'll grow into. But do you like how the two of them kind of complement each other, with McKinnon being kind of a big play guy in the receiving, and Isaiah Pacheco, kind of the hammer with the running game?
Yeah, listen, I think I think they do complement each other. Completely two different types of game. And we'll just keep bringing them Pacheco along as we go. I also feel Jones, who we have sitting on the bench, is a good player. So I mean, it's a pretty good situation right there at that position. Knock on wood, but it's you have a good balance there. So.
Hey, Coach, appreciate the time here. It feels like every week we get a new number from you all, whether it's Mahomes breaking a record or Kelsey with the 10,000 career receiving yards this week. I know you're not a warm and fuzzy guy in the moment, but maybe is there a number that you heard or somebody brought to your attention that's actually caught you and paused you, and maybe that was a cool moment, whether it's you or one of the guys?
Yeah, that one with Kelsey last night, I thought, those are big numbers now. You start talking about, 10,000 yards, receiving yards. That's a pretty good haul for a career. And then when you start stringing them together, like he has 1,000 yard for what is it, 7 straight? How many ever? Yeah, 7 straight years. I mean, that's pretty spectacular too. So, I think Clark, what was it, 1,000 straight wins or 1,000 games played as a franchise? Yeah, Ted's coaching me up on all this. So 1,000 games played as a franchise. So that was these are big numbers now. I mean, that's pretty special stuff.
Hello, Coach. Speaking a little bit about numbers, during your tenure in Kansas City, you've had different players, including a different quarterback, different coordinators, a different GM. Yet through all that, for 8 straight years, this team has had 10 wins or more. To what do you attribute that consistency?
Yeah, I've been blessed to be with good organizations. First of all, I want to make sure people understand that, because it's not one person. It's all of us kind of pulling together. And I think that's kind of the strength of the places that I've been lucky enough to be at. And surely here is we're all kind of pulling in the same direction. There's not a lot of interference going on. And in order to do this, you've got to have the players, you've got to have the people that are bringing in the players, and then you've got to have the coaching staff. And it all starts with the owner. So, and how he presents things to you and allows you to do certain things. So, but those other pieces too become very important, and there has to be a balance there where those people get along. Not that they're necessarily going out at night and partying, that they actually work well together. And I've been lucky enough to be a part of that. So,
hey, Coach. Good afternoon. Thanks for the time. I noticed Patrick's flip pass to Jarek was very similar motion than your throwaway mustache marker on the State Farm commercial. Is that where you got that from?
Yeah, I think it is. I'll tell you, that was pretty. That was pretty spectacular play. I think you guys know that, but I mean, it's that was special. So he did a nice job. I appreciate the humor there, though. I got it.
Hey, Coach, when you guys traded Rashad Fenton early in the year, you really leaned into some of these young defensive backs, and they've had obviously a lot of good moments. But last night, I'm sure there was some things that they left on tape. How much do you think these rookies can take away and maybe use some of those struggles as you guys look forward and need to rely upon them in the NFL playoffs?
Yeah, Pete. I mean, what you're seeing just around the league is some of these long balls that we either had the holding on or it hit us in the face mat, those type of things. That defending those is tough, even for the best of the best. And so I kind of put those aside and just keep working on them. Let's work on those after practice. And during practice, we can get some extra throws with the quarterbacks after practice. And then during practice, let's have those scripted in so they have an opportunity to track them. You can't get enough of them. That's now the other stuff we've got. I'm seeing improvement. The breaks on the ball, the learning the indicators on the break on the ball. That's one of the bigger struggles for a young guy. But I'm seeing guys get better at that, and that means that they're studying more and understanding some of the fundamentals of tape. Of playing the receiver position. So. Which becomes important playing either corner or safety.
Hey, Coach, it's for Jerick McKinnon. It's been more than 5 years since he's had a game with 2 touchdowns and had his second 100-yard receiving game. That was also more than 5 years ago. What does it mean for you as a coach when you've got a guy like that who's persevered through so much that he has with all the surgeries and all the setbacks that, all these years he's still kicking and he's able to achieve things like that?
Well, you said it best. I mean, he's like a dinosaur at that position. Matt, you're playing 9 years in the National Football League as a running back. Those are dog years. So he keeps himself in great shape. He's very smart. He's pounded through the injuries that he's had, and really the last couple of years here with us, he's come out on in a very positive way and shape for our team. I think if you talk to the players, they'll talk about the leadership, how much they appreciate him. The young guys will talk about like the Pacheco, how much he's taught him, or Clyde, how much he's taught him. And he's just a good guy to have around on your football team from a locker room standpoint. And then from a playing standpoint, there's nothing that he can't do. He does everything so well. He's got the good hands. He can run well. He can run inside, outside. He's a good blocker, picks up blitzes, the whole thing there. So
that is head coach Andy Reid meeting with the media. Yes, Travis Kelce was a 10,000 yards in 9 seasons because he didn't play a snap his rookie year. That's incredible. It's kind of crazy how Mahomes and Kelce kind of have the same career arc. Didn't do anything their rookie year, and then have just been unstoppable since. Fulton, I went and I asked our two cohorts Dan and Brendan on the Santa.
What are their thoughts?
I know my two sports guys.
Dan is a fan of it. Brendan could not care less.
Brendan is not anti nor in favor. He goes, which I thought that would be the case. And now if I had to lean one way, I thought Brendan would hate it.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's not that strong of opinions on that.
Yeah.
But Dan likes it. He goes, no, I think it's great. It's in a great spot. No, I like it. So right now it is two people who like it, one who is indifferent, and then one who hates it. So,
I just think it's creepy.
Yeah, that's fine. It's large. I mean,
yes,
it's big. It's almost 6 foot. No question. But I had to let the listeners know. Coming up next, Fulton is going to tell me why the Royals are not a baseball team right now. We'll get to that coming up next. All right, Fulton, you've got about a minute and a half to tell me, do the Royals actually have a baseball team? Because over the last 2 weeks, they have not even been rumored for any single person.
So here is where I'm at when it comes to the Royals' lack of
per se Royals
moves they've made. Given what they're trying to do and what they have said they're in the market for, which is short-term rentals, bridge guys, figuring out what they need to do. This is about what they should be doing. This isn't the part of the market that they should be working with. Because if you look at every deal that's been handed out, a majority of these are deals you wouldn't want the Royals to be making.
You would want Justin Verlander?
On the aspect of they aren't in the position to make a lot of these moves.
Okay.
And the other part is this. I know we all keep going, well, we want the Royals to sign pitching, and they keep saying they'll sign pitching and all that. The other fact of the matter is they have like 7 pitchers that they need to figure out what they have.
You know what would have been good to do? Do that last year.
It would have, but you didn't have a pitching coach last year. You didn't have a real manager last year.
Okay. They did. He just sucked.
Well, now you have an entirely new regime that needs to figure that out.
Yeah.
I'm all for maybe signing 1 or 2 guys, but also I'm all for giving Brian Sweeney, here's the 7 dudes that could all be starters, figure it out.
So basically, they just wasted last year.
Yes, which we knew. And it's disappointing, but it's what they did. They wasted a year.
Frustrating. Coming up next, the Chiefs defense. It stinks. It is the final hour of Mic'd Up. Jake Levon along with Fulton Caster with you. Thank you so much for joining us on this Monday. It is a victory Monday, despite the Chiefs feeling like they've lost. I mean, they really does feel like they lost. But they didn't. They didn't. They won.
No, they won. They won the game.
They won the football game in Denver.
They did the thing.
They did. So it is a victory Monday. And for KU smashing Missouri, I, for one, think it's great. Because right now, Missouri's doing some stuff that just irritates me.
Yeah, like existing.
Well, not so much that.
That irritates me.
The whole, we're not trying to duck you because we want a good home attendance against Kentucky. After that game against KU, why would you go want to watch Missouri get smashed again? Oh, can't play in the Liberty Bowl because we play Kentucky. What? Yeah. Don't want to play in the Liberty Bowl because
Because we're losers.
That would give us an extra 7 days of practice. Yeah, I'm glad KU smashed them. That's great to see. Also good to see K-State beating a basketball team. They do practice, from what I have
Yeah,
learned.
the Incarnate Word team practices.
They don't practice basketball. Must be doing like Parcheesi or something.
Fun fact, a friend of mine got his master's degree from the University of the Incarnate Word.
Alrighty. Well, they're terrible in basketball. Good in football. They're in the FCS semifinals. They won that wild game against Sacramento State over the weekend, in which a Sacramento State player scored a touchdown and celebrated by drinking a beer.
That's how you do it right there.
That's pretty hilarious, to be honest with you.
Every college player should celebrate by drinking a beer.
Pretty funny. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Check us out on Twitter at SportsOn580 just to see the Santa in our lobby that one of our colleagues brought in that Fulton thinks is creepy. I think it's pretty sweet. Check it out. Follow us on YouTube, Sports on 580. Very simple. Just Google it, Sports on 580. Click the subscribe, hit the like button, as we had plenty of recaps from Chiefs games, KU, K-State, Washburn, all of that. We got overreaction, proper reaction, but Fulton, we have to come to grips. It took me a while to get there. Took until week 14. But the Chiefs defense is bad. There's no other way to put it. Chiefs defense is bad. The Denver Broncos, they stink. They stink. All right. The Denver Broncos scored 28 points in this game. The most they scored prior to that was 23. The Broncos scored on 3 straight drives. They were touchdowns, by the way. 3 straight drives, touchdowns. That happened 2 times all year. And when I say by that, I mean they've scored 2 touchdowns in back-to-back drives twice all year. This was the first time that they scored a touchdown on 3 straight drives. I'm sorry, but the Broncos' best offensive game comes against the Kansas City Chiefs is not a coincidence. It isn't. The Broncos went 3 of 3 in the red zone. What's the one thing that the Broncos have been absolutely cheeks at this year when it comes to the offense?
Scoring in the red zone.
They went 3 for 3. 3 for 3. Prior to that, this year, they were 44% in the red zone. You add 3 for 3, and that drops it probably down to under 30% or under 40%. But going 3 for 3, 100% is kind of a big deal. The Chiefs defense is bad. Do you remember the graph and the image that we saw about the most, I guess you could say the elite quarterbacks in the NFL and what their defense is? The Chiefs defense going into the game against the Broncos was 24th. That's a bad defense. It's a bad defense. Now, it's not, awful. It's not awful. Awful would be, 30, 31st, 32nd. Would you agree with that? That's awful. Yeah. That's awful. Chiefs are 24. They're bad. They're bad. And someone on Twitter sent me a message that, hey, what were the short fields that the Chiefs offense, the interceptions, generate? Because sometimes short fields result in touchdowns, right? The 2 interceptions that resulted in points, they had drives of 60 yards and 42 yards. Those are not exactly short fields. I would consider short fields under 30 yards. 60 yards is not a short field. That's the opponent starting on their own 40. 42 yards. All right. It's not short, but they don't have to drive a long ways. I don't know if you know this, Fulton, but you can hold a team to a field goal.
Yeah, you can.
That's the whole goal. After a turnover, the entire goal for the defense, don't give up a touchdown. Don't give up a touchdown. Do you give a field goal? That's a win. They went 60 yards and a touchdown. They went 42 yards and a touchdown. That's even not that's what bad defenses do.
Yeah.
That is what they do. They are not good at tackling. The pressure is up and down. They got 6 sacks in the game. They got some pressure. It's not consistent pressure, but they got some pressure. But the problem is, it's either a great pressure or the quarterback is just chilling back there forever. And that's what Russell Wilson and Rippon did in this game. Did they get some pressure? Yes, they did. Chris Jones got a sack. He got 2 sacks. Chris Jones, technically it wasn't a sack. It was a better play because at the end of the game, he hit the ball out of Rippon's hands, and it ended up being L'Jarius Sneed caught a punt. He doesn't get credit for a sack there because it's an interception. He didn't get tackled. But to me, that's a sack.
Yeah.
I mean, he forced the interception.
He did.
You know, Karlaftis got one. Dana got one. I mean, they got some pressure. They did. I also would expect the Chiefs offense to get some pressure against that bad offensive line, and they didn't have their best offensive lineman in Dalton Reisner.
Nope.
So I expect that. But it wasn't like it was consistent all game, because the Broncos scored 3 consecutive touchdowns, and on those 3 consecutive touchdowns, there was absolutely no pressure, and the Chiefs secondary, which did not have a good game yesterday, you can't let Jerry Jeudy look like DeAndre Hopkins, because that's what happened. All right? Jerry Jeudy is just an average wide receiver who apparently loses his mind during football games. But the corners, Josh Williams is having a tough stretch right now. He really is. But all those touchdowns, think back on them, all right? They're wide open.
Mm-hmm.
They're wide open.
Yep.
There's not a whole lot of I mean, the fade to Jerry Jeudy, the one in the back of the end zone that Rippon through. I mean, he just fired a fastball. It was a touchdown. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of restraint when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs against the Denver offense that has been bad. And if you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, the Bengals, that's a good offense. But we know what happened in that game. They could not tackle. They absolutely couldn't tackle and got no pressure. Same thing for the majority part of this year. You're giving up you're 24th in the NFL in points per game. And we have mentioned that some of the points are some, late scores, that type of thing. I do understand that. But these last 2 games, this defense is going to be the reason that the Chiefs will not win the Super Bowl. If the Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl this year, it will be because of the defense. And to me, the number one aspect is not the pass rush, not all of that. It's they can't tackle.
No, they can't.
They cannot tackle. How many times did you see in this game the secondary playing bend but don't break? And I get that against the Broncos. I do. But if you play bend but don't break, you better hold them to field goals. Because that first drive was 3rd down and 8 conversion, 3rd down and 8 conversion. And eventually the Broncos went the Broncos. And I don't know if it's because they were up 27-0 and took a gigantic break and stopped playing. But this Chiefs defense is a bad defense. There's no other way to put it. Look at the last 2 games. And this year as a whole for the Kansas City Chiefs. someone, sent a tweet. I think it was Greg Rosenthal, covers the NFL. He says, imagine what the Chiefs would do if they had a good defense. Well, we know what's going to happen if they've got a good defense. They go to the Super Bowl. When they have had their best defenses, we know this.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs in 2019 had the 12th ranked defense in the NFL. That's not a great defense. That is an average defense.
That's above average. You're above the middle of the pack.
2013, they had the 13th ranked defense. Problem is, in Super Bowl, they had no offensive line.
Yeah.
So when they have an average defense, they go to the Super Bowl. And when they don't, they lose in the title game. Last year, they did not have a good defense. Lost in the title game for a myriad of reasons. One, defense couldn't get a stop, couldn't sack a quarterback. And it helps out. The offense melts down in the second half.
Yeah.
But this is not a good defense. I expect you to not allow the Denver Broncos to score 4 touchdowns in a game. 4. And one of them was to a backup. I expect better. If every other team in the NFL on the Broncos schedule has done it, it ain't a coincidence that the Kansas City Chiefs did. I'm sorry. That's just how this thing works.
So here's what I'll say. And this is what I've been thinking about for essentially a day now. Whenever this happens, the number one thing, and Jake, you can tell me if I'm wrong on this, is the thought that always seems to come up. That when this happens and the Chiefs' defensive meltdown happens, there always seems to be well, is it time to talk about Steve Spagnuolo's job? And is it a problem with the Chiefs' defensive coordinator? Is it a problem with the defensive staff? Is it a problem with coaching? Why does Spags have a job if this defense keeps playing bad? That feels like the thing that always gets brought up around these moments. Am I decently correct in that assumption? That it seems to be that usually this is the moment where Spags' job gets discussed a little bit more than normal. Because we even had a text line. Is it personnel or is it the defensive coordinator?
Yeah.
There's a fact to this defense that I don't think anyone is talking about. They just don't employ good players. I think our expectations for this defense are too high because they don't employ good players. Think about it, though.
They got one great player.
And that's what I'm saying. They have one elite player, and I will give you 3 to 4 above average after that. I will give you Chris Jones as an elite player.
Correct.
I will give you, if you want to say Nick Bolton's above average, I'll give it to you.
I agree with you. He is.
You want to say L'Jarius Sneed is above average? I'll give it to you.
Yep.
You want to say Trent McDuffie's above average at this point? I'll give it to you.
I can't give you Trent McDuffie because he has not played enough.
That's fine.
He has not played enough.
I will respect that. Name me one other above average player on this team. Seriously. Name me another above average player on this defense. Sure as hell ain't Frank Clark.
Ooh, gosh,
sure as hell ain't Mike Dana. Sure as hell ain't Colin Saunders. Ain't Derek Nottie. Ain't Darius Harris. Ain't Willie Gay.
He had an incredible play.
He had a great pick, but he also will miss tackles and blow middle of the field coverage assignments. Ain't Leo Chanel. Ain't Jalen Watson. Ain't Joshua Williams. Sure as hell ain't Juan Thornhill or Justin Reed.
Yeah, they can't tackle.
Because they can't tackle. No. Do we not realize we sit, and I will caveat the rest of my following statements with this. This is not me making an excuse for this defense playing poorly. They need to play better. They are NFL players. There is never an excuse for being bad. But do we just not discuss the Chiefs just don't employ good defensive players? We sit there and we ask them and we want them to play better and we want them to be this average defense. It's really damn hard to be an average defense when over 75% of your players are below average. Does no one realize this? We do not talk about this enough. The Chiefs just don't employ good defensive players, and they never really have as of late. What was our thing this entire offseason? They need to get a better pass rush. That was our entire thing defensively this offseason. They added Carlos Dunlap. That's all they did. And then they drafted George Karlaftis. That's all they did. Like, I am not trying to absolve Steve Spagnuolo of issues he might have as a defensive coordinator and moments to where I even get a little head scratched at some of his play calls. But it's kind of hard to ask a defensive coordinator to put an average defensive unit on the field when he's got the island of misfit toys for his defensive toolbox.
I think the Chiefs went the collective route trying to improve their defense instead of just pinpointing it. I'll call it the porcupine approach. I've kind of talked to you guys about this before. The porcupine approach is, and this can go just in life in general, right? The porcupine approach is you try to do and put your resources at a lot of different things, right? You got porcupine has a whole bunch of what are the spiky things called?
Needles.
They're called needles on a porcupine?
As far as I know.
Okay. There's a lot of them, right? You don't want to mess with a porcupine. Yeah. But there's a lot going everywhere. Instead, I think the Chiefs should have gone with the rhino approach. And the rhino approach is called, it's a rhinoceros. What does a rhinoceros have? One big giant horn. And he will run at you with one giant weapon. The Chiefs needed to put their resources in to the pass rush. They need to go the rhinoceros way. That's the only thing, because I don't think McDuffie is below average. I think he's incomplete right now. I think the linebackers are fine, are good. Bolton's a good player. But in the most important categories in the NFL, it is your defensive line. And we know that you can scheme to take Chris Jones out of it. The Bengals have done it. And that is the biggest problem. Now, from the Big O Tires text line, according to the football database, the Chiefs defense is in the top 20 in almost all common statistical categories. But it's not absolutely horrible. Never said it was absolutely horrible. And if I did, no, they are bad. They're not good. Absolutely horrible is the 2018 Chiefs defense. That is absolutely horrible. But they are not a good defense. They're not. They are a below average bad defense. And to me, if you are below average in the NFL, you're bad. Average right now in the NFL is around the 15 mark. They're 24th. That, to me, constitutes their bad defense. And the last 2 weeks have proven it, no questions asked. Even Frank Clark, after the game, spoke to, the Chiefs radio network. And then in a tweet, he's saying, we got to be better, we got to be better, we got to be better. I've just come to the conclusion that the Chiefs defense is not good. I mean, plain and simple. They don't tackle well.
No.
They and I'm gonna hold on. I think they've given up the most passing touchdowns allowed, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, that's by the way, the Chiefs are number one in touchdowns scoring via the pass per game at 2.2.
The Chiefs have given up 28 touchdown passes this year. That is the most in the NFL by 3.
Yeah, like you're not a good defense if you do that. And if you're by 3, that's not a whole, well, we're getting some garbage stuff right now. Because to be honest, there's only been really 3 games in which the opponent had garbage touchdowns. That's it. They've only had 3 games in which they have given up touchdowns late in games. And that's the Cardinals, that's the Buccaneers, and that's, well, and then maybe the 49ers game. But that was a game all the way until the end. I mean, it was a 1-score game, and then the Chiefs put it on them. But otherwise, these aren't garbage time touchdowns. These are touchdowns that make it a 3-point game. Or they make it a 1-possession game where you just get one stop and you have a chance with the football. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's not an average defense giving up that many touchdown passes. I'm sorry. It's just not. This defense, if you were to tell me right now, Chiefs versus Eagles in the Super Bowl, do they win the game?
No, because the Eagles can run the football like crazy and the Chiefs can't tackle.
And we haven't even the Chiefs are they can't tackle. I mean, how many times did in the Bengals game and in the Broncos game did they just break one time? Who's the tight end? Our insurance salesman, Dulcich. He caught a 1-yard route and almost got the first down. And the Chiefs had how many guys there to tackle him?
Yeah.
It would be different if we're talking about, the game against the Bills, right? The throw from Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs and to Gabe Davis. I thought they were in pretty good
Those
place.
are perfectly placed touchdown passes. You could not ask Joshua Williams to play better.
That was not the case against the Broncos. Not the case. And so what about the over-the-shoulder throw to Jerry? He had like 3 yards of separation. That wasn't that impressive. That is why, to me, this is the Chiefs' Achilles heel.
I'll say this as well on the pass defense. There are 3 teams in the NFL that are allowing a quarterback rating of over 100 to opposing teams.
And a quarterback rating over 100 is basically like top 5 in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, you're facing Mahomes, Herbert, Allen, Hurts. I don't think Geno's probably there anymore. He's kind of taking a nosedive.
A little bit.
But a passer, 100? Wow.
For comparison's sake, just to point this out, the Las Vegas Raiders are allowing the best quarterback rating for any team they face, 103.4. The Raiders turn every quarterback they face into Patrick Mahomes exactly. Mahomes' quarterback rating is 103.4. It's really perfect, honestly. The Arizona Cardinals get a quarterback rating of 101. They turn every quarterback into basically someone a notch below Joe Burrow. Joe's at 102.4. The Kansas City Chiefs give up a quarterback rating of 100.3. Every quarterback they face becomes a top 5 quarterback.
Who's 100? Who's a 100 quarterback?
The closest is Joe at 102.4. Jared Goff's 97.9.
And Jared Goff been slinging that thing this year.
Yeah.
Remember, I told you.
Jared Goff quietly has 22 touchdowns to 7 picks.
I told you that the Lions were going to make the playoff.
You did. They might.
They have a
They're
chance.
really good. But that's my and I still go to the point of part of this is the Chiefs just have bad players. And I do not think that's talked about enough. Because everyone talks about, the Chiefs, the team should be better. Man, they're playing so poorly. And yeah, they are. At the same time, what do you want this collection of not good players to play like? Would you like a secondary that is L'Jarius Sneed and the rookies to all of a sudden be the Legion of Boom? Because that ain't going to happen.
The secondary, the reason why they're bad is because the safety play has not been good.
Yes.
Reed and Thornhill have not been good.
I have been a Juan Thornhill defender since the moment he was drafted. That's all I've ever been. I fully have sold that stock. Because I have never seen, there is one thing defensively that will make me dislike you as a player and make me think you should not have a job. And it is not tackling. That is what you're paid to do. Because tackling, at the end of the day, all tackling is you need to be tougher than the guy you're going up against. You need to have a level of toughness to go tackle. Guys that don't tackle is because they are not tough. It is simple as that. Juan Thornhill wants to spent the entire offseason about how he wanted to be an all-pro. That man does not tackle.
He's a no-pro.
And it's a lack of effort. He got a sack against Denver. That was awesome. Good for him. I then proceeded to see him miss 8 more tackles the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I watched him one-on-one in space against Greg Dulcich get cooked into the earth.
Yeah, he did. That was when he almost got that first down.
Yes.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen. Part of the Chiefs employ, in my opinion, the worst safety pair in the NFL when it comes to tackling. They might do some other things right. Name me a safety pair that can't tackle as well as those two.
I don't know who the Raiders are, but they stink.
Justin Reed and Juan Thornhill can't tackle.
Yeah. The Lions aren't
neither
good.
of them can. And that's all
Seahawks
that is
aren't any
effort.
good. Yeah.
That's all that is I want to have the effort to go tackle. And neither of them will. The Chiefs lost a game because Juan Thornhill couldn't tackle. He had a clean shot at Jamar Chase against Cincinnati. Clean shot to force a 4th down. And he did some Olay crap diving at his knees.
The defense is a bad defense. They're not awful, but they're not average.
They're bad.
They're bad.
They are bad.
I mean, I don't need numbers. Just watch them. This is just look at them on film type of defense. They have stretches where they're good. They do.
Yeah.
But they have stretches where they are
abysmal.
Awful. And it happened in the first half of the game yesterday.
Yeah.
You're up 20.
They gave up a 66-yard touchdown on a screen pass. On his screen pass, where when Marlon Mack started cutting it back, he had to run past about 4 defenders
where
to
are
keep
the
going.
Chiefs? Ooh, no one around. No one around. Yeah.
That's not playing well.
No. Coming up next, overreaction, proper reaction here on Mic'd Up. On a Monday, all right, Fulton. Overreaction, proper reaction. The Carolina Panthers will win the NFC South. They are a game back of the Bucks, and they play the Bucks this year yet.
I think that's still an overreaction. I know that they have a game left to play each other, which does matter. Like, it helps that they will get to play each other. And I know it's only 1 game differential right now. I think the fact that they're still employing Sam Darnold at quarterback's going to hold them back.
They don't have any other options.
I know. They let Baker Mayfield go. I just like the way they had to win against Seattle was because Seattle does not know how to stop a running game. They can't do it. They just don't know how. I don't know if Carolina can do we're just going to run the ball a billion times and ask Sam Darnold not to do anything for 4 straight games and come out ahead. Like, it is a conceivable possibility. And now, this is also granted as well, the Panthers already beat the Bucs once this year. One, that was with PJ Walker, not Sam Darnold. But
PJ Walker.
I just feel like I just, when in doubt, I go with the team with the quarterback that could maybe make a play.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at those 3 teams that are vying for first place in the NFC South: the Bucs, the Panthers, and the Falcons.
No, the Falcons.
They're the exact same record as the Panthers, Jake.
Do they really?
Yes, they are both 5-8.
God.
Like if you're going to bring up the Panthers, the Falcons have to be discussed.
The Falcons really do.
They're 5-8. But here's the thing:
they had a bye game, right?
They did
last week. Okay.
Here's the thing, though: which quarterback do you trust more, Tom Brady, Sam Darnold, or Desmond Ridder? Pick your quarterback. Because to me, that tells me who you think's going to win the South. Pick your quarterback.
All right.
Which sensible person.
I'm with you. I'm taking the Bucs.
I will say though, it teeters on kind of being the proper take. But the Bucs have the 1-game lead. They still have to play each other. The Bucs have to play both the Falcons and the Panthers one more time. And then they have the Cardinals as well. They're probably going to drop this game to the Bengals, and then they could win their final 3. But I will say, they dropped to the Bengals, while meanwhile, Carolina, who they got next? Carolina's the Steelers next.
Yeah.
In theory, you could have those 2 teams tied atop the division, which right now would actually be Carolina in first place because they hold the 1-game tiebreaker. But it just feels like Carolina won't get it done. But man, this division's bad.
It's so bad.
It's disgustingly bad.
Yeah,
I think it's still an overreaction to say Carolina's going to do it.
All right.
Where are you at?
I'm not there yet. If they win and they have the same record,
if it's Carolina in first place with 3 to go,
yeah, that's gonna be fun.
That's a hell of a way to
All
try
I
and wrap
know
this
is
up.
if you are the Dallas Cowboys, you are excited because you will make it to the divisional round.
You're playing someone bad.
You know, you're gonna play either the Bucs or the
Panthers.
Or
hell, the Falcons. They are still alive. Maybe Desmond Ridder is the savior they needed.
That's wild.
It is absolutely wild.
That's crazy.
Overreaction, proper reaction. The Detroit Lions are making the playoffs.
I'm going to go proper reaction.
They have left, just for everyone's posterity here, they go to the Jets. They go to the Panthers. They're home against the Bears. They go to the Packers.
They can win all of those.
They could.
They could lose all of them.
They could.
I'm gonna say, yeah. I'm gonna say proper reaction. That they're gonna be the darling of the last 4 games because their offense
is fun.
It's good, and it will be fun to see how they do against a really good defense in the Jets.
Yeah.
I told you this last week. I said the tie between the Commanders and the Giants might be the difference because right now it is. Seahawks are 7-6. The Giants are 7-5-1. The Commanders are 7-5-1. It was better for the Commanders and Giants to tie than to one of them to lose because now there will be no tiebreakers with the Seahawks and anybody else. Same thing with the Lions. The Commanders and Giants are now starting to play like we figured that they would play. Guess who the Giants and the Commanders play next? Who do they play?
Please tell me it's themselves.
They play each other. They play each other. And then here's what the Commanders have to do the rest of the way. Commanders have to play the Giants, the 49ers, and the Browns. I think they're going to lose all 3 of those games. Maybe they'll tie again. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Here's who the Giants have to play the rest of this year. The Giants, you ready for this? The Giants might make the playoffs because they play the Eagles the last game of the year.
Yeah, the Eagles are not going to be playing anybody. I doubt Nick Sirianni lets his starters play.
The Giants play the Commanders, who could beat them, the Vikings, who should beat them, even though the Vikings offense was...
Vikings make no sense.
Yeah. And then you take on the Colts and the Eagles. So, right now, all 4 teams in the NFC East are in the playoffs. They all 4 won't make it. In fact, the winner of the Giants-Commanders game Sunday, that's probably elimination game.
Yeah, it's going to really put the other one behind the 8 ball.
Because they both have one tough game the rest of the way. The Giants play the Vikings, and then the Commanders final stretch. The Commanders have to play 2 tough games, to be honest with you. They have to play the 49ers, and the Cowboys. They might have the 5th seed locked up by then. But I think the Browns might be a difficult game.
Yeah.
So I'll say that's proper reaction, that they can sneak into the playoffs.
Yeah. I think I'm still...
The Lions are going to beat the Bears. I know they're going to beat the Bears. I think they're going to beat the Panthers. And I don't know if they're going to beat the Jets, but if they beat the Panthers and the Bears, the Lions are going to be, what is that?
That would be, notwithstanding the other 2 results, 8-7.
8-7. You go 1-1. You're 9-8. 9-8 might get you in.
9-8 might get you in.
Yeah.
Panthers very winnable. Bears very winnable. You've already beaten the Bears. You barely beat the Bears, but you did beat the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
And that game is at home. Then you play the Packers. You're already beaten the Packers. Lions might actually sit here and make the playoffs after starting 1-6.
Yeah.
They were 1-6.
And some of those losses were
close.
But some of them, they got destroyed.
Oh, like when they lost 29-0 to the Patriots?
And then 24-6 to the Cowboys?
Yeah, that wasn't a great back-to-back weeks.
No, but in all honesty, the Lions will probably go full Lion and they'll lose like the last 2 games of the year and not get in.
Yeah, it's going to be disappointing.
That's probably what's going to happen. Yeah. Last one, Jalen Hurts, MVP.
Still calling overreaction. Even after throwing 3 picks, Patrick Mahomes should be your MVP. In every major statistical category as a quarterback, Mahomes is breaking the game again. Hurts is playing awesome, and he deserves a lot of credit. Mm-hmm. Patrick Mahomes is the most valuable player. Because the Chiefs are trying to be a 1 seed, and they have a defense that is horrible.
What is the defense for the Eagles? Or are they...
It's one of the best defenses in the NFL. Like, you know that same stat I gave you about quarterback rating?
Yeah.
Do you want to know who allows the lowest quarterback rating as a defense?
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Eagles. They give a 76.3 quarterback rating when they face a team.
That's pretty good.
Do you want to know who that is equated to? They turn every team into Baker Mayfield.
Ooh.
He's 76.8.
They give up 19 points a game.
Yeah.
They've been good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Like, there is honestly a difference. The Chiefs are 2 games worse than Philly right now. But Jalen Hurts is not propping up a bad defense. In fact, Jalen Hurts' defense has bailed him out a few times. Whereas Mahomes is constantly bailing water for his bad defense. People thought it being a narrative award. The narrative is Mahomes is doing what he's doing and keeping the Chiefs at where they are with a bunch of things trying to weigh him down. Also, Jalen Hurts got all his shiny new toys, and he started playing well. Mahomes lost his shiniest toy. It's not to discredit Jalen Hurts. He is playing so well.
Yeah, I think Tua,
but your rightful MVP should be Mahomes.
I think Tua, he is now no longer in the conversation after the game yesterday.
No, he was at one point 3 for 25?
Yeah, he's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I think that, yeah. Coming up next, the Chiefs hold on to beat the Broncos. We will get to why that is a very Chiefs win. Finishing up this edition of Mic'd Up, Fulton, we haven't even talked about the little hook shot that Patrick Mahomes did.
That was awesome.
I don't think this is a crazy hot take, but I almost think that McKinnon still moving to the very last second is almost as good as the throw.
No, I agree.
The play,
McKinnon not letting that die and just being like, I'm just going to go north.
Yeah. Technically on that, it'd be south.
Whatever. Go vertical.
Yeah. Mahomes, right before he throws the hook shot, looks like back to see if somebody's coming from behind him. And then he just must have saw McKinnon keep going and he, you know, hook shots it kind of. But the hook shot was such a good hook shot because McKinnon caught that in stride.
Yes.
If McKinnon doesn't catch that in stride, he didn't go all the way to the distance. So that was one of the most I thought he was past the line of scrimmage. At first, I'm watching the game with my wife and I'm like, I didn't want to celebrate because I think he was behind the line of scrimmage. And then they rewind, you know. And he wasn't even close. Like,
no.
He was a yard away. And that's the first time we've touched on it here in a 3-hour show because so
many other things annoyed us.
The game, the way it went, it went from, oh my gosh, this is amazing, to holy cow, epic meltdown, to, wow, that's a good finish. But he did, and if you want, everybody was raving about the hook shot, which, you know, that's just backyard football. The touchdown to Juju.
He threw that touchdown on a frozen rope on a dart to the back of the end zone while being hit by 4 people.
After scrambling around up front.
Doing an entire pirouette. Yeah. Like, he did a full circle.
Yeah. And then he had to avoid Trey Smith, who did a nice job. Did like, I got to get out of the way. And then he got rocked.
Yeah, Mahomes got hit by 4 people and delivered a dart. Never take Patrick Mahomes for granted.
Never. I mean, those are the 2 maybe best offensive plays in the weekend.
Yeah.
For anybody. That's incredible.
They were absurd.
I don't want to overlook that.
No.
I call those, shake your headers.
Yeah.
Where you just go back and forth and go, that shouldn't happen.
I was in my apartment. I watched him make the hook shot past McKinnon that went to the distance, and I just walked around my apartment being like, "It just absolutely not. He did not do that."
You don't even scream at those.
No, I don't. I literally just go,
yeah.
He did not.
Yeah, he did. No,
that's not fair.
Yeah.
That's cheating.
Yeah, like Wasp, I scream.
Yeah,
because Super Bowl, everything. Yeah. What the? Same thing with the left-handed throw. What the? He just owns Denver, man. 15-0 on the road in division. Take that, John Elway. Coming up next, we'll finish things up here with the mic drop. Time for the mic drop. All right, Fulton, tell us something about KU and Missouri.
KU beat Missouri by 28 points. That's all that matters.
Really?
KU beat Missouri by 28 points.
Really, what all that matters is they won by 4 or more.
They beat Missouri by 28 points. Missouri was undefeated and acting like they were a really good team. They got squashed. They're cowards. They're awful. They're horrible. I hope nothing good ever happens to them ever. Hope Eli Drinkwitz loses every single football game he ever coaches for the rest of time.
That's strong.
Missouri basketball's about to lose like 8 games in a row after starting undefeated, and fans are going to go back to not caring because they're a joke of a program.
My mic drop. The soccer world lost a big one. Grant Wall passed away covering the World Cup, and I don't think there's been a reporter in any sport that has meant more to their sport than Grant Wall. Kansas City guy. That's a tough one. Coming up, we got 580 Sports Talk here on the Sports Voice of Kansas.